Well, good to see everybody. It's hard to believe it's August 31st, less than 2 weeks from the season. We're very excited. It's been quite an interesting off season, right? I mean, we're making that transition now as a team. We're out of training camp mode and we're into kind of in-season mode. And it's been an interesting off season, to say the least. I give our players a lot of credit, with everything we've been through, going through the pandemic and still going through that, with all the social unrest that we've had and all that's meant and means to us and is ongoing, and our battle and fight there. And then really getting ready for a football season. And so we'll now make the transition where, we're out of training camp mode. We'll go into an in-season schedule. Our preparation this week, will not be exclusively Jacksonville or anything. We won't get too heavy into them, but we more get into our schedule that will be like in season. So, and we'll look forward to having a good week there. It's a tough week, right? This is the last week we get to determine the roster of this team. This is a great roster with a lot of really good football players. More interesting roster dynamics this year than most, given the pandemic, given the practice squad rule changes to 16 players. So, it's going to be hard to let guys go, but it's also going to be, we'll be able to get a lot more guys back on the practice squad. So that's good for us because we think we got some winning football. We got a lot of winning football players here. Just on the injury front, some good news. Marcus Johnson will be out there today. He'll be limited. Kenny Moore as well will be out there. He'll be limited. And then Zach Pascal will be out there and be limited. And then also good news is Julian Blackman will be coming off NFI. So you'll see him out there as well and start working him back in. And excited for all those guys to get back and all of us to get to work and have a really productive week this week.
Mike Chappell.
Frank, can you give us an update on Trey Burton and what the outlook is with him?
Still working through that, Chap. Calf injury, those things can range in a number of weeks. So still kind of waiting for it to settle down for a day or two to really get a better gauge to how long it may be. I can tell you it's going to, those type of things are generally more than 2 weeks if you get it and get it good, but we'll just have to see how it settles down here over the next couple of days.
Just a quick follow-up. We asked you this on Saturday when it happened, but now that you've had time to think about it, how might this at least short-term impact what you want to do offensively?
Well, there's no doubt, Trey's a playmaker. That's why we brought him here. I mean, we've seen that, in the couple of weeks of practices that we've had. He has unique pass receiving ability and route running ability. So we're going to miss Trey. But, the good news is he'll heal quickly and we'll get him back soon. So it's just next man up. You guys know we like to really use a lot of different personnel groups, and it'll just put a little bit of emphasis on some other personnel groups.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Mike Wells.
Hey, Frank, I wanted to ask you, obviously, with the competition between Marlon and Jonathan at the running back spot, it could be something could be dicey, but it seems like those two both want the best for them. How has their interaction been from a coaching standpoint in this situation with those two?
It's great. You got two great players and two high-quality teammates. So, they're for each other, and it's a competition. But we like we've said, we see it as, it's the 1-1 punch. And Marlon is our starter. He's earned that. He's looked fantastic. We see Jonathan making a major contribution, and and we're really happy with all of our running backs. They all have a unique role that they play, and we'll have that 1-1 punch, and Naheem will do his thing, and then the rest of them will just kind of roll it through as we need to.
When you look at when you call it a 1-1 punch, obviously they're both talented kids, but from a running style or pass catching style, how are they different?
I think Marlon is great acceleration in the hole. He's got great vision. They're both good at running the schemes that we run, zone and gap scheme. So that's one of the things that I'm impressed with Jonathan about, that, at Wisconsin, they tend to, they run a lot of gap scheme stuff. and they're well known for that, and they've had a lot of backs that have been really good at that, but he's been good at the zone scheme. Obviously, Jonathan's a little bit bigger and stronger. Marlon probably has a little bit more quickness and acceleration, but, we all know Jonathan has the long speed. He has that 4.3 speed to take everything to the house. So really a good combination. Jonathan just has that bigger body, so when he gets in traffic, a little bit harder to bring down.
JoelErickson.
How impressive is it? I know that with ACL injuries, the timetable's a little bit faster than it used to be, but how impressive is it that Julian was ready this quickly?
Very impressive. 9 months, or a little bit under that. It just goes to speak to his mindset and, the kind of person that he is, how he attacked his rehab, even during a difficult time, right through the pandemic, in difficult circumstances, he's handled himself like a pro. You can feel the maturity from him. You can feel the competitive fire, how badly he wants to be out there. So, it's really, he's obviously ahead of schedule. We'll still be smart with him and have him on a play count and gradually work him back.
George Bremer.
Coach, you mentioned kind of going to regular season mode this week. Opening on the road this year, are there additional challenges than there would be in a normal year with everything that's going on? Do you have to kind of be a little more on the details? Are there concerns in that area?
I think the biggest challenge will be, the travel protocols are going to change because of, COVID. So, we got a great staff to handle that. Jeff Brown, our director of operations, along with the whole crew, have done a great job preparing us for that, working with the league to make sure we're on top of all the travel protocols. The players are going to be focused on the game. So, when you're a player in that mode, you're just in the mode of tell me what to do and get me to the game. I want to play football. And so the players will handle it right. We'll set everything up to make it as easy as we can for the players and make it as seamless as we can, get them focused on the game. And then, we just follow the protocols that we're given.
Phil B. Wilson.
Hey, Coach. Thank you for your time.
Sure, Phil.
I wanted to ask you about making these final cuts before regular season in terms of, the toughest parts of the job. You got losing, you got great players getting hurt. Those things are tough, but how tough is it to tell a guy, you're no longer on the team at the end of August?
It's very difficult. Players have given a lot. There's been a lot of, even though we didn't have the traditional off season because of the uniqueness of this off season, as we mentioned earlier with the pandemic and all the social unrest and the meetings that we've had and the discussions we've had, I think have drawn us closer. And guys have poured their heart and soul into what we're doing to trying to get ready to play a football season and at the same time still deal with all the things off the field that there are to deal with. I think these shared hardships sometimes draw us closer together. And it's, I appreciate the fact that guys are pros and they understand that this is just part of the business, but it doesn't make it any easier, for Chris and I, to have to call a guy in and say, you're not making the roster. Now, the good news is, like I said earlier, many of these guys will be back and they'll all be on a short list because of the pandemic and all the uncertainty there. So we feel good that we've gotten even the one or two players that don't get back here, we've gotten to know them all very well and feel like this has been our strongest roster to date in a training camp.
Quick follow on that. Do you try and reassure them or say something to remind them they're good players and they can still play in this league, or is it just not the right time to say stuff like that?
Yeah, no, you say those things. They know it. These guys are all, they know they're here. So they've already earned the right to be here to start. So, but certainly, you have encouraging remarks and what I've learned through the years is though they have to be really sincere, thought through, you're not just throwing out the cursory, great job. You individualize the remarks to every person to the extent that you can. And because it does matter. Every relationship matters. You guys know we talk a lot about people. We talk a lot about the process, but we talk equally as much about the people. And so, these are good men good football players. Many of these guys, if they're not back here, they're going to be still playing in this league.
Thank you, Coach.
Jim Aiello.
Yeah, Frank, kind of along the same lines. I was just wondering if you could kind of gauge the depth that you do have on this team. You're talking about, position back, two starting running backs, a bunch of tight ends you can trust, receivers too. That's just on the offensive side of the ball. In your years here, where would you put the depth in terms of what you guys have right now?
Yeah, no, I think it is the strongest roster we've had in training camp. I think the depth is better. That's really a credit to Chris and his staff and to the coaches who, have helped develop these guys, in the time that they've been here. We still have a relatively young team, and I think we're all excited about that. And, we want this year to be, indicative of the youth and enthusiasm and the juice that we bring to the table. But, it's not our first rodeo with this team. We're in year 3. So our season and our progression as a team should reflect the fact that we're in year 3. We should be hitting our stride. And we should go into this season with a lot of confidence and a lot of conviction about what we're doing and who we're doing it with.
Okay, we'll go 2 more. Stephen Holder.
That was actually kind of my question. So I guess I'll just follow up by saying, can you address just the progression between making cuts when you first got here to what it is now, and how that's changed just as your team has grown and developed?
Just more difficult. I mean, the decisions at the back end of the roster, at the quote unquote back end of the roster are more difficult than ever. Especially that first year. You look down, I'm sitting here looking at a depth chart in front of me right now. And I mean, I just feel like so many of these guys are playing winning football. And, we talk about that a lot. We had a long personnel meeting yesterday where coaches go position by position talking about their guys. And, it's just, you like talking about guys that you see are making progress. And a lot of these guys have made a lot of progress, and we feel really good about them. And we need that this year more than ever because of the uncertainty of, all of a sudden, if you're hit with a bunch of positive tests, you need to be able to react quickly and have trust in guys to step in and play. And I feel like we're in that position.
And last one, Mike Chappell.
I hate to bring him back to injuries again, but what is the update on Sheldon Day? And did he injure this knee during the warm-up period to camp?
The update is that he is, still making progress, getting closer. No, he injured it. We were actually doing a drill, and he injured it, in a drill early on. I don't remember the exact week or day, obviously, but I do remember the play. I can still see it in my mind when it happened. So just a kind of a freak thing, to be honest with you. It was really kind of a freak thing. Didn't look like it was much, but you could just tell it got hit the wrong way. So Sheldon's attacking the rehab, and, we'll just kind of keep working with him and get him back out there as soon as we can.
Can you share if he had any procedure, or was this just rehab?
As of right now, it's just rehab.